What is up, Define Squad? Welcome and welcome back to another video. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Alex here, Defined by Alex. We're defining our lives and building our dreams. So in today's video, y'all, I thought it was going to be super helpful to just really break down the basics when it comes to learning your silhouette studio. Okay, now as you guys can see here, I am in my lab. I'm ready to share with you guys just some basic tips and just really learning how to navigate through your silhouette studio so that way you can achieve your cuts really great. They can come out bombs.com and you can get more comfortable with using your new silhouette Cameo, okay? So I'm going to hop into my laptop, show you guys some good fun stuff and get this video started. Also, welcome. So this is going to be a, like I said, just a very basic, beginner friendly, just navigation in your silhouette studio. If you're new, if this is your first time getting your hands on after buying your Cameo and just, you know, just learning the ropes, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys how to get started, where to find things, what things do, and then, you know, I encourage you guys after watching this video to continue to be hands-on, continue to do it the way that you know how you can learn, and just of course practice, okay? Because that's what I did. Practice makes perfect. You're not going to be an expert coming out the gate. You're going to have to just really learn and just be more hands-on once you get it, okay? So let's go ahead and get this started. So as you guys can see here, Silhouette Studio opens up as this canvas, and it does this, and it just, you know, that's it, that's all. Now on the left hand side, you have your what's called just more so like your drawing tools. These are going to be referenced as your drawing tools, okay? Now if you hover to discover here, they'll tell you what they are, what they mean, and what they do. This is to edit points. Of course, this is your cursor or your select, you know, your select tool to select the item. This is going to be your line tool. So if you want to go ahead and draw a line here, you can do that. That wasn't a very good line, but that's just how you can do that if you choose to do so. And then I went back to my select tool and I pressed that and I deleted it. Now, going back to that line tool, if you wanted to do some weird, you know, fun shapes, like draw a polygon, drawing a curved shape, you can do that. And if you even wanted to draw an arc, you can do all of these things, y'all, okay? So I'm just going to draw an arc and I'm going to show you guys what that's doing here. Let me just click on it again. Sorry, my cursor is messing up for some reason, but there we go. Okay, boom. You guys see that? So that's how you do the arc shape, okay? So these are just little cool, you know, features that you may need or you may want to play around with to, you know, make your designs or whatever you're crafting. So that's how you can do just that. Now, if I click on my draw a note tool, that's just if I want to create a note of some sort. If you want to just keep track of some things and you want to put your notes off to the side, well, you can do that, okay? And then if I hover here, she'll let me make it bigger, which is great. You guys see the cursor here. So you can make that note bigger or smaller. And again, just write some things off to yourself just to keep track of what you're doing. Or if you're someone like me who's making a tutorial and you need to learn and really pretty much write down the steps that you're doing, then this draw note tool will be helpful for you. So I don't need this note, so Silhouette is just making sure that I do want to delete it, and that's totally fine. So I'm going to press delete. Over here is the eraser tool. So if you want to go ahead and erase something that was a mistake or an error, you can do that. Now up at the top here, you see how it says if you want to have a solid or an outline, you can change it to whatever setting that, you know, best fits you. If you want to have a more of a square erase shape, you can do that. You guys see that right there. Or if you want to have a circle, you could do that as well. Then you can also adjust the size of the eraser. So for larger size designs, you can slide that scale and then boom, now you have a bigger eraser. And then on the opposite end, you go ahead and slide that scale down to a little bit smaller, and here's your smaller eraser. Okay, now to get back to your cursor here, just go up to your select tool and you get back to where you started. Now this tool, you guys, to be quite honest, I've never used this. I've never used the knife tool. I don't even know what it does, but my guess is that if you need to maybe like cut something or make an outline like how the illustrations are shown above, you can do that. Again, you're gonna have to hover to discover because Silhouette does tell you, pretty much what everything is, which is super helpful in my opinion. Okay, so again, on your left hand side, you're going to have all of your drawing tools, things that you can use to, again, get familiar, get more acclimated, and get more comfortable when it comes to starting out in your Silhouette studio. Okay, now in the center here is your canvas. The dimensions of your canvas is going to be 12 by 12. Okay, so that's going to be 12 across and 12 down. I'm going to move over now to the right hand side where you're going to have more of your custom tools and just the features that are really going to make your designs pop. So I'm going to start from the top here and pretty much focus on the things that I use. Again, this tutorial is just supposed to just be very basic and beginner friendly. So again, just go ahead and jump right on in, get your hands on and get familiar with that. So for the page setup, this is what it looks like. So it's going to read from what type of machine do you have. If you have a Cameo 4, which is what I have, if you have a Portrait or a Curio, Cameo Plus, pretty much all that good stuff. Okay, they all share the same studio space. And then for your cutting mat, it's going to default as auto, which is what you guys see here with the arrow pointing up. But if you don't need a cutting mat, what you need to do is come down to the none, and that takes that off. Okay, and so that pretty much just says I don't need a cutting mat. I'm going to change that, and that's how you do that for the design area. I'm going to go ahead and go back to auto, so that way when I close out my studio, it saves with the cutting mat. Now for my media size, as I was alluding to earlier, the dimensions are 12 by 12. And so just like how you guys see here, it's going to default to 12 by 12 or auto. But if there are dimensions that, for example, you're going to use registration marks, which requires you to change your media size, then they have these preset media sizes already for you, which is great. So a lot of times, if you want to use registration marks, you're going to have the 8 by 5 by 11 anyway. Well, thankfully, Silhouette Cameo, it gives you the option to change that to the letter size. I'm going to go back to auto, again, just for that way you can save it this way once I close out my studio. But again, just showing you guys some basics so that way you can just get familiar with the basics and then work your way up. Now, if you happen to just kind of skip over the media size, you can still adjust your canvas in this next part here. So if I wanted to just go ahead and click in this box for my width and type 8 by 5, press enter, you see it changes. Same thing for the height. If I wanted to do it for 11, press enter, you see it changes. And then what it does is it recognizes that the dimensions are the same as the preset size, preset letter size. Okay, so that's what you just can do, just as another option to change your media size. Now, transparency, if I did have an image here, you guys, and I wanted to change the transparency, then this is what that was for. So just real quick, I'm going to type hello. Okay, just to show you guys what it looks like. In the transparency part, exactly, I'm going to go ahead and make that pink. Now, since it's selected, transparency is a 0, but to change it, it's going to change actually the back. So I'm sorry, you guys, it actually changes the canvas, which that's cool too. But yeah, you can change the transparency if you like for the cutting mat, and you can also change the transparency for the font. But we're going to keep that back at 0 and leave that the way it needs to be. Moving down, so for the orientation, it's going to default here as portrait. Then you can do landscape as well. Okay, so it just depends on your preference here. I'm going to go ahead and change this back to 12 by 12, or I could have also went up to my auto or 12 by 12 as well for the media size. So that's pretty much the page setup panel. Like I said, just getting familiar with it, adjusting it, and just learning, knowing where to find it, I think is really important when you're just getting started, okay? Now, the bottom options, to be honest with you guys, I really don't use much, but you totally can, okay? Again, this is your way of how you learn it. So if you need to rotate something, you do just that. If you need to see how something's going to be laid out a different way, then that's okay. This is what this for. And then as far as like your print border, if you want to see where your print borders are, you can do that. And if you want to see or unselect your cut borders, then that red line disappears. Now, if I select that again, my red line reappears. So a few other things I want to point out, just again, for the basics, is where to find like your fill color. So if you want to go ahead and have text here and you want to fill it in, let me go ahead and do the hello example like I did earlier and show you guys how you can be creative with this time around. Just going to make that bigger, and over here this fill panel that has like just like the paint, what do you call this, guys? I guess like the paint, where the paint holds, like, or whatever. I'm just going to change the fill color, and then up here you have better options too. So if you wanted to do like a gradient or an ombre, you have all these options to do just that. And then as far as a fill pattern, if you wanted to really just get creative and just have a fill pattern, you can do that too. Just really get creative and just play around with it the best way you can. But this is where you're going to find more color options, more fill options. And then again, here's that transparency option, you guys. So I'm sorry, I was in the wrong transparent part when it came to that first demonstration. But for this one, you can just go ahead and move the slider. And as you see how the design is just getting fainter and fainter, transparent, right? And so if I slide that back, then it's back to its solid feel. All right, so that's it as far as filling in a design and things like that. Moving on to something that I also want to point out is a trace pattern, a trace panel. So this allows you to pretty much crop a design the way that you need it to. So if I just needed to pretty much trace a design on the t-shirt, all I have to do is just come in and select the trace pattern. I drag it, and then it traces it out for you. Okay, so this will be in the purpose of if you need to, like I said, trace an outline of something, so you go ahead and use your trace pattern. Let's see, what else do I use on this side? So I use Textile a lot because you can upload free fonts. And so this is where you would go to pretty much change your text. Okay, so I'm gonna go and type hello again and make it bigger. And I am going to just play around with my fonts. Okay. And as you guys can see, I'm just navigating up the list and just seeing what font I like. So you can do this too. You can upload free fonts when it comes to your studio, your Silhouette Studio, for free. And that is super cool too, because there's so many fonts out there for free for commercial use that you can use for designing that, you just have a bunch of options. Awesome. So the next one right up under text is your transform panel. So this is going to be a few different things. You can align things in here. You can duplicate designs here, if I'm not mistaken, and all that good stuff. So if I wanted to have a vertical alignment, I can do that. Just press vertical. If I wanted to have align middle and things like that, this is where I would do all these good things. I pretty much only use the align part of this transform panel, but again, feel free to have at it and just play around with more settings too. The next panel underneath it is just pretty much, this one is your replicate panel or duplicate. So if I wanted to just make this a little bit smaller and I wanted it to go all, throughout the canvas, well, if I come up here and I hit fill page, that is going to be a shortcut of how this design is going to fill up the page. Okay. Now to undo that, just go to your undo button and it just goes back to the 1. But as you guys can see here, you really just have options when it comes to replicating. As you guys can see here, it does like in column form. if I wanted to replicate this going down, it's going to do going down like that. So, you know, all the options, all the things, all the features, all the basic features that will help you get started. So moving on, over here is going to be the modify panel. This is going to come in handy when you need to pretty much take off a part of the design, and I actually might make a separate video about that, you guys, really going more in depth with the trace panel and the modify panel. So if you would like to see a video on that, just leave me a comment down below, okay? Because right now I'm just going through the basics, but if you do want more in-depth features of, you know, tutorials, just let me know. But this panel, I'm sorry, is just going to be for your welding, so putting things together into one shape. Again, once you hover to discover, it'll tell you what all these features are, so you're really going to be able to figure it out very, very quickly. Okay, and then lastly, the one that I use is going to be this offset shape. I can also include this in a separate video as well if you guys would like, but this is basically adding a border around your text. So just to show you real quick what that's looking like. So if you go ahead and just expand this, now I'll go over here and go to offset shape. You guys see how now my letters have an offset, like it pretty much just has like, what would you call this? Kind of just like a hollow or extra shading behind it. And that just allows the design to just be a little bit more creative. You can also fill this in. Let me group this together first, because the cool part about the offset shape is that once you group this and fill it in, it can just really, you know, transform your design into making it super cool looking. I'm just going to change the text real quick. This is another area where you could change your text. And there you go. Okay, so that's what offset allows you to do. All right, you guys. So that's pretty much it for, like I said, just a very basic tutorial on where to find just your basic features. Okay, again, I encourage you to go ahead and play around with it, you guys, have some fun, and just design things that you know are going to be easy for you to learn in the beginning, and then you can advance, you know, moving forward. Okay, y'all, so that concludes today's video. Don't forget to drink your water, mind your business, and always choose yourself first, and I'll be back in my next video. Peace out, y'all.